Hey Stoic warriors, welcome back to my channel. Your mother called you selfish yesterday. Your best friend said you've changed. Your partner thinks you don't care anymore, and somewhere deep in your bones, beneath the guilt and the doubt, you know they're wrong. Because for the first time in your miserable people-pleasing existence, you've stopped setting yourself on fire to keep everyone else warm. Welcome to the most uncomfortable truth you'll ever swallow. Every single person who's angry at you for focusing on yourself was perfectly happy when you were drowning in their problems. They loved the version of you that answered texts at 3 a.m. about their drama. They adored the you who cancelled personal plans to fix their mistakes. They worshipped the walking doormat who mistook self-destruction for love. Marcus Aurelius didn't write his meditations for you to read. He wrote them for himself, alone in a military tent, surrounded by death and betrayal, trying to remind himself how to remain human when the world demanded he become a monster. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. These weren't pretty words for philosophy students. These were survival instructions from a man watching an empire burn while everyone expected him to smile. You're not watching an empire burn, but you're watching something infinitely more precious crumble. Your sanity, your dreams, that spark in your eyes that used to believe you were meant for something more than being everybody's emotional garbage disposal. You've become so skilled at carrying other people's pain that you've forgotten what your own shoulders feel like without the weight. The average person checks their phone 96 times per day. That's 96 opportunities to absorb someone else's crisis, someone else's opinion, someone else's version of who you should be. You're mainlining other people's chaos directly into your bloodstream and wondering why your hands won't stop shaking. You're drowning in a sea of notifications, each one a tiny anchor dragging you further from shore. But warriors are watching this video right now. People who are sick of apologizing for their ambition. Souls who are exhausted from explaining why they need boundaries. Hearts that are finally ready to stop asking permission to exist. If that's you, if you're ready to become beautifully, unapologetically, surgically focused on your own growth, then these 5 lessons will be your ammunition. This isn't self-help wrapped in ancient philosophy. This is a declaration of independence from the tyranny of other people's expectations. This is your permission slip to become who you were before the world told you who to be. Before we begin this revolution, smash that like button like you're smashing the chains of people-pleasing subscribe if you're ready to disappoint everyone except yourself. Share this with someone who needs permission to choose themselves. And don't you dare skip a single second, because comfort is the enemy of growth. Type this in the comments: I am not responsible for other people's emotions. Now, let's get into this. Number 1. The beautiful art of disappointing people. They'll call you cold when you stop responding to manipulation disguised as emergencies. They'll call you heartless when their emotional earthquakes no longer register on your Richter scale. They'll paint you as the villain in every story they tell, and here's the revolutionary truth. That's the first sign you're finally doing something right, Seneca wrote to his friend Lucilius. Every new thing excites the mind, but a mind that seeks truth turns from the new and seeks the old. But he wasn't talking about ancient wisdom. He was talking about returning to your original self, the one that existed before you were programmed to believe that your worth was measured in how much you could tolerate. Your nervous system wasn't designed to process 17 different people's traumas before breakfast. Your shoulders weren't built to carry your mother's unfulfilled dreams, your father's anger, your ex's insecurities, and your co-workers' daily catastrophes. Yet, Here you are, a walking cemetery of other people's unresolved issues, wondering why you feel like a ghost in your own life. The moment you stop being everyone's emotional support animal, watch how quickly their love transforms into rage. That friend who called you their rock, they'll call you selfish the first time you say you're too tired to listen. That family member who depends on your advice, they'll accuse you of abandoning them when you suggest they find a therapist. These reactions aren't evidence of your cruelty. They're proof of their addiction to your sacrifice. Every boundary you set is a small funeral for the person you used to be. Every no you speak is a birth announcement for who you're becoming. The people who truly love you will celebrate these deaths and births. Everyone else was just loving what they could extract from you. Start with this exercise. Tomorrow, when someone dumps their problems on you without asking, respond with, "That sounds really difficult. What are you going to do about it?" Watch them short-circuit. They're not used to you returning their responsibility back to them. They're accustomed to you swallowing their poison and thanking them for the privilege. Your guilt is not a compass pointing toward kindness. It's a chain keeping you enslaved to other people's dysfunction. The Stoics understood that true compassion sometimes looks like cruelty to those who profit from your weakness. Number 2, the exquisite loneliness of self-priority. They don't prepare you for the silence. Nobody warns you that when you stop being everyone's savior, your phone stops buzzing. The group chat goes quiet. The invitations dry up. You'll sit in your apartment on a Friday night, listening to the deafening sound of your own thoughts. And for a moment, just a moment, you'll consider going back to the chaos just to feel needed again. This is your trial by fire. This is where most people break. Epictetus, who had his leg deliberately broken by his master when he was a slave, understood something about isolation that comfortable philosophers never could. Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. He wasn't talking about money. He was talking about the wealth of not needing constant validation to prove you exist. You've been a validation junkie your entire life, mainlining other people's approval directly into your veins. Every "thank you so much, you're amazing" was another hit. Every "I don't know what I'd do without you" was another dose. And now you're going through withdrawal, shaking from the absence of external confirmation that you matter. But something magnificent happens in that silence. In that space where other people's voices used to live, you start hearing something you haven't heard in years. Maybe never your own voice. Not the one that's been trained to say yes. Not the one that apologizes for existing. The real one. The one that knows exactly what you want, who you are, what you're capable of becoming. The loneliness of self-focus isn't empty. It's pregnant with possibility. Every evening you spend alone, working on your goals instead of solving someone else's problems, you're building an empire in the silence. Every weekend you invest in your skills instead of attending obligatory social gatherings. You're architecting a future where you don't need anyone's permission to be extraordinary. Watch what happens when you disappear for 6 months to work on yourself. The same people who called you selfish will slide back into your messages asking for your secret. They'll want to know how you transformed while they stayed exactly the same. They'll beg for the formula, not understanding that the formula was your absence from their drama. Solitude is the price of greatness, but nobody wants to pay it. Everyone wants the result, the confidence, the success, the unshakable sense of self, but they're not willing to sit with themselves long enough to earn it. They'd rather stay distracted, stay needed, stay small, than face the terrifying possibility of their own potential. You're not antisocial, you're not broken, you're not bitter, You're in recovery from a lifetime of emotional codependency. Every moment alone is rehabilitation. Every quiet evening is physical therapy for your soul. Number 3. The violent act of saying no. Your no lands like a slap across their face. You can see it in their eyes, the shock, the disbelief, the immediate recalculation of your value in their life. They stammer, they guilt-trip, they rage, they manipulate. And you stand there, unmoved, watching their tantrum like a scientist observing an experiment, finally understanding that their reaction has nothing to do with you and everything to do with their entitlement to your existence. Marcus Aurelius commanded the most powerful army in the world. Yet, he wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." He could have crushed anyone who opposed him, yet his greatest battle was learning to say no to the endless demands of an empire that wanted to devour him whole. Every yes you've given when you meant no has been a small betrayal of your soul. Every time you agreed to attend that event you dreaded, take on that project you didn't have time for, listen to that person who never asks about your life. You were essentially saying, "My time, my energy, my life is worth less than your comfort." But saying no, real, unflinching, unapologetic no, is violence to those who've grown fat on your compliance. It disrupts the ecosystem they've built on your exploitation. Your no is a revolution, and revolutions are never peaceful. They'll weaponize everything against you. "Remember when I helped you?" they'll say, pulling out receipts from years ago, forgetting that relationships aren't debt collections. "I thought we were friends," they'll whimper, as if friendship means unlimited access to your resources. "You've changed," they'll accuse, and you'll want to scream back, "Yes, thank God, yes, I've changed, I've evolved, I've grown a spine." Start practicing with small no's. "No, you can't borrow money." "No, I won't cover your shift." "No, I don't want to hear about your ex again." Feel the discomfort. Sit with it. That discomfort is your people-pleasing addiction screaming for a fix. That anxiety is your codependency having a seizure. Let it thrash. Let it burn itself out. The universe begins to shift when you start saying no. Opportunities that were hiding behind obligations suddenly appear. Energy that was scattered across 20 different people's needs suddenly consolidates into laser focus on your goals. Time that was hemorrhaging into everyone else's emergencies suddenly pools into deep wells of creativity and growth. Your no is not cruel. Your no is not selfish. Your no is the most honest thing you can offer someone, more honest than a reluctant, resentful yes that breeds silent contempt. Your number is a gift to both of you, clearing the air of false expectations and forced interactions. Number 4, burning the ships of external validation. Delete the post. Yes, the one that got 500 likes. Delete the achievement you shared, hoping your ex would see it. Unfollow the account you check obsessively to see if they watched your story. Burn every bridge that leads back to the person you used to be, the one who performed their entire life for an audience that was never paying attention anyway. Seneca, one of the wealthiest men in Rome, wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, who is poor." He understood something that Instagram influencers will never grasp: the poverty of needing witnesses to validate your existence, the bankruptcy of requiring applause to believe you're real. You've turned your life into a performance, haven't you? Every achievement immediately captioned and posted, every milestone carefully curated for maximum impact, every struggle strategically shared to harvest sympathy. You've become so obsessed with narrating your life that you've forgotten to actually live it. The truth that will shatter you. Nobody cares as much as you think they do. That post you spent an hour perfecting, they scrolled past it in 0.8 seconds. That achievement you thought would finally make them respect you, they forgot about it before they finished their coffee. You're bleeding yourself dry for an audience that's not even watching, killing yourself for approval from people who wouldn't notice if you disappeared tomorrow. But here's where it gets interesting. The moment you stop performing, something extraordinary happens. You start doing things because you want to, not because they'll photograph well. You pursue goals that make no sense to anyone else, but set your soul on fire. You have conversations without mentally drafting the story you'll tell about them later. You experience joy without immediately packaging it for consumption. The Stoics called this autarkeia, self-sufficiency of the soul. It's not about being alone, it's about being complete whether anyone's watching or not. It's the difference between a candle that needs wind to stay lit and a fire that burns from its own fuel. Start this experiment. For 1 week, do something significant and tell no one, achieve something, create something, overcome something, and keep it as a secret between you and the universe. Feel how different it is. Feel how pure, feel how the accomplishment belongs entirely to you, uncorrupted by other people's opinions, undiluted by their interpretations. You'll discover that validation is a drug, and like any drug, the high gets shorter and the crash gets harder. That dopamine hit from likes lasts minutes. That glow from compliments fades by nightfall. But the quiet satisfaction of knowing you did something purely for yourself, that becomes part of your bones, strengthening you from the inside out. They'll say you've become secretive. They'll say you're withholding. They'll accuse you of thinking you're better than them. And maybe you are. Maybe you're better than the person who needs a committee's approval to feel worthy. Maybe you're superior to the version of yourself that couldn't take a step without checking if everyone was watching. Your addiction to external validation is the leash they use to control you. Cut it. Burn it. Let them call you arrogant. Let them call you distant. Their opinions are just noise, and you've finally discovered the volume button. Number 5. The sacred rage of self-investment. They'll ask you where the money went. The money you used to loan them, the money you used to spend on their problems, the money that mysteriously disappeared into courses, coaches, and equipment for yourself. They'll look at you with betrayal in their eyes, as if you've stolen from them, as if your resources were community property, and you've committed fraud by investing in your own growth. Let them choke on their entitlement. Epictetus said, "No one can hurt you without your permission." But he forgot to mention that when you stop giving that permission, when you start pouring every resource into your own development, the people who benefited from your self-neglect will act like you've committed murder. You've been hemorrhaging money into everyone else's dreams while yours died of starvation. You funded their mistakes, their addictions, their delusions, while your potential withered in the darkness of someday. You've been the scholarship fund for everyone else's education while remaining gloriously, tragically ignorant of your own capabilities. But something snapped, didn't it? Maybe it was seeing someone younger than you living your dream. Maybe it was calculating how much you've spent saving everyone else while your own life needed emergency resuscitation. Maybe it was the moment you realized you're going to die one day and your tombstone will read, "Here lies someone who had potential." So, you started investing in yourself with the fury of someone who finally understood the assignment. That course everyone said was too expensive, you bought it. That mentor everyone said was unnecessary, you hired them. That equipment everyone said you didn't need, It's sitting in your apartment right now, a monument to your rebellion against mediocrity. Watch their faces when you tell them you can't loan them money because you're investing in your business. Watch their shock when you say you can't help with their rent because you're paying for your education. Watch their rage when you choose your growth over their comfort. Their reaction tells you everything about how they saw you, not as a person with dreams, but as a resource to be harvested. The Stoics understood that self-investment isn't selfish. It's the only way to become useful. You can't pour from an empty cup, but more importantly, why should you pour from a full one if it means you'll never drink? Why should your potential die to water someone else's garden? Every dollar you invest in yourself multiplies. Every hour you spend learning compounds. Every resource you pour into your growth creates a future where you don't need anyone's permission, anyone's approval, anyone's charity. You're building an ark while they're laughing at the rain clouds. Start treating your self-development like a desperate lover treats their obsession, with unwavering devotion, reckless investment, and complete disregard for outside opinions. Take that class, buy that equipment, hire that coach, book that trip. Your growth isn't a luxury, it's an emergency. Your development isn't optional, it's survival. They'll call you obsessed. Good. They'll say you've lost perspective. Excellent. They'll claim you only care about yourself. Finally, their understanding. Your sacred rage toward your own growth should frighten those who benefited from your stagnation. You've just absorbed 5 lessons that most people will die without learning. You've been handed the blueprint to a life where your worth isn't negotiable, your energy isn't public property, and your growth isn't up for debate. Marcus Aurelius died alone, but he died complete. Epictetus died free, though he'd been born in chains. Seneca died wealthy in spirit, though he lost everything material. They all understood the same truth. The only life worth living is the one where you become who you were meant to be, not who others need you to be. Tomorrow, you'll wake up and face a choice. You can close this video and return to the comfortable prison of people-pleasing, or you can begin the uncomfortable liberation of self-focus. You can continue bleeding yourself dry for people who wouldn't donate a drop for you, or you can start the sacred work of becoming unstoppable. If this hit your soul like lightning, like the video. If you're ready to disappoint everyone except yourself, subscribe. If someone you know needs to hear these truths, share this video, comment below. I am the priority in my own life. Your transformation begins now.